I almost ripped my smart speaker out of the wall last week, not because it broke or because it was slow, but because my so-called smart home was somehow making my life harder instead of easier. And that's when I realized something uncomfortable, which is that it wasn't Alexa that was the problem. It was the way I was using Alexa. So today I want to show you what I stopped doing, what I changed instead, and how you can fix the most common smart home setup mistake in about 10 minutes and make your whole system feel calmer, faster, and actually smart. Because if your smart home still needs you to tell it what to do all day long, it's not really smart, it's just a fancy remote control. This matters right now because more and more of us are adding smart devices every year, including lights, thermostats, locks, cameras, plugs, sensors, and speakers, which means our homes are becoming more digital than physical. But most people are building them in a way that creates more mental load instead of less, which means more thinking, more remembering, and more talking to your house, and that's completely backwards. Technology is supposed to remove friction, not add a new kind of friction. And the one big mistake almost everyone makes is building their smart home around voice commands instead of around real life. So we end up saying things like, Alexa, turn on the lights. Alexa, set the temperature. Alexa, lock the door. And Alexa, good night, which feels smart at first, but slowly becomes exhausting. It becomes exhausting because now your house only works when you remember to tell it to work, and that's not automation, that's delegation. Which is like hiring an assistant who does nothing unless you micromanage them all day, and I didn't realize how draining that was until I stopped doing it. The moment that changed everything for me was late one night when I walked into the kitchen to get a glass of water, and it was dark, and I stood there for a second thinking, why are the lights off? And then I realized they weren't broken. I just didn't say the words. And that felt ridiculous because why should my house need my permission to do something this obvious? That's when I flipped my entire approach and decided that instead of telling my house what to do, I would teach it what normal looks like, and that one change made everything smoother. In simple terms, your smart home should be like a good waiter, not a bad one, because a bad waiter asks you every 5 minutes if you need anything, while a good waiter watches, notices, and shows up when you actually need something, and your figcho house should work the same way by noticing when you're home, when you're asleep, when it's dark when you leave, and when you come back, and then quietly doing the obvious things. So what I stopped doing was using Alexa as the brain of my smart home, and I still use Alexa. I just don't rely on her to make decisions anymore. Because she's now the voice and not the logic, which means I think of Alexa as the steering wheel and not the engine. Since you use the steering wheel when you want control, but most of the time the engine just runs. The logic now lives in simple automations, and this is not complicated. Because you don't need to be a programmer or have a server in your basement. You just need to connect simple conditions like if it is after sunset and someone walks into the living room, then turn on the lights. If nobody is home, then lower the thermostat, and if it's after 10:30, my phone is charging, and the bedroom motion sensor sees me, then it's bedtime. That's the whole idea, because you're not telling your house what to do. You're describing situations and letting the house respond. Once you do that, something interesting happens, which is that your house stops feeling like a machine and starts feeling like a space. For example, lights are the easiest place to start, because before I controlled lights with my voice, and now I barely think about them, since during the day they stay off. At sunset, they turn on softly when I walk into a room. Late at night, they turn on even dimmer and warmer, so I don't get blasted with light. And when I leave a room, they turn off after a short delay. And I never say anything or press anything. It just feels natural. Another example is climate control, because before I had schedules for weekdays, weekends, and vacations, and I was always tweaking them since life doesn't follow schedules. But now the system just checks if anyone is home. And if yes, it stays comfortable, and if no, it saves energy, and that's it. The result of all of this is not just convenience, it's peace. Because you stop managing your house, and your house stops managing you. Most people get this wrong in 3 ways, and the first is trying to automate everything at once, which usually creates chaos where things turn on when they shouldn't and turn off when you still need them. So people think automation doesn't work when in reality it just works best when it grows slowly. So the right way is to fix one annoying thing first, whether that's lights, doors, or temperature. Make that feel good, and then move on. The second mistake is relying only on time, because time is useful but dumb, since it doesn't know if you're home, awake, or if your plans changed, which is why time should almost always be combined with something else like motion, presence, or light level. The third mistake is building systems that take control away from you, because your house should never trap you, and you should always be able to flip a switch, turn a knob, or use your voice, since automation should remove effort and not remove choice. Once your house runs on context instead of commands, you unlock things that feel futuristic but are actually simple, like automatic energy savings, automatic safety, and automatic comfort, because you stop thinking about settings and start enjoying outcomes. As sensors and AI get better, your house won't just respond, it will anticipate in a helpful way by noticing when your routine shifts when you're away more, often when you're home more, and adjusting quietly in the background where good technology belongs. So if your smart home feels annoying, noisy, or tiring, it's probably not the devices, it's the model. Because you're asking your house to do obvious things instead of teaching it what obvious means where obvious means dark. Plus motion equals light, no one home equals energy saving, and bedtime equals calm. Once you think this way, everything gets easier, because you stop talking to your house, and your house starts listening to your life. I didn't stop using Alexa, I stopped depending on her. I moved the thinking into the system, and I let Alexa be the friendly interface on top and not the brain underneath. If this made you rethink how your setup works, tap the like button so more people find this. Subscribe to Build Smart Living if you want more ideas like this. And if there's one thing in your home that still annoys you every day, leave it in the comments, because I read them and I might build the next video around your problem. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.